Hi, it's Red-Headed Riding Hood here, red for short. I'm gonna read you William Barclay's daily celebration. And this is really interesting because he wrote it after the tragic death of President Kennedy. So while I keep saying that this book is from the 70s, I guess he wrote it before that though, so it was published in like 1971, I think. But this is called Conflict, and this is part 1. I write this on the Saturday evening following the tragic death of President Kennedy. And like most other people, I have a personal sense of loss at the death of this man, whom I never saw in the flesh. But it's not about that I write. I write about one of the most significant things that I have seen for a very long time in regard to the place of the church in modern life and society. There is an evening newspaper which on a Saturday has a certain amount of space given to the news of the churches and to articles on religion. This Saturday evening, that page is missing. The news of the Kennedy assassination has driven it from the paper. There might be little enough to regret in that, for clearly news of such worldwide significance must have extraordinary space. But here is the significance of the situation. In that issue of the paper, 5 columns were given to racing news. 5 columns were given to news from the entertainment world. 1 whole page was given to women's topics and a short story, and there was even space for the usual astrological horoscopes and the alleged information that the stars give about our future. Interesting. The situation was desolatingly plain. When something had to go, that something was the news of the churches and the religious articles. I am enough of a journalist to know that the church material was probably fixed and maybe even set up in advance, and that it may well have been quite unsuitable for the occasion. But I am also enough of a journalist to know that there would have been no great problem in getting any fast-working, competent writer to rewrite the whole section through the night, and so to give the church's voice on the world disaster. But apparently, no one thought it worthwhile. What the church had to say simply did not matter. I have seldom seen anything which, without a word of comment, showed more devastatingly the twilight of the church. Tomorrow's part 2. That's, I just find that really interesting. Yeah, my ex and my brother were born that year, but earlier in the year. And I just recently watched a little program that popped up. I was watching, it was interesting because I was watching a little, a video about Marilyn Monroe, and then popped up right after that one about Kennedy's assassination and all about like that moment and everything, and like just all of the details. And it ended up being a channel. It was interesting. It ended up being a channel that was like about it. I think it was mostly about like death and dying. I don't know. It was just something that popped up in the feed because, you know, Marilyn Monroe, and then Kennedy, that time frame and all of that. So it was interesting. And yeah, today is speaking of which, today, it all sort of goes. I didn't even plan this. It all sort of goes. My cousin would have been 62 today, I think that's right, because she was born in 62, which is interestingly enough. But she really loved Marilyn Monroe. And so, like, I kind of imagine that she, like, has got to meet her now. But that's just me. And it works now with my theology. Because I used to be sad to think that Marilyn Monroe was probably in hell. Honestly, to be quite frank. But I'm really happy to, and I didn't really know what my cousin's beliefs really, I wasn't really that close to her to know really what she believed either. And so it's like I didn't know. And I can remember when we started having deaths in the family, really it was my grandfather had passed away when I was a teenager, but when my brother passed away in 2002, and I remember I was like, that's not really funny, God, but the movie Oh Brother, Where Art Thou came out, and I was kind of thinking that. I was like, oh brother, where art thou? But I now believe that they are, and whatever they did, and whatever, of course there'll be a judgment, but it's not eternal conscious torment, but whatever their sins were, that's between them and God. It's none of my business. But anyways, that's interesting how all of this came together. Yeah. But yeah, that's that was an interesting one today. And tomorrow's part 2. And don't say that no one cares for you, because I do, and God does too. Don't forget to pray for Red, because Red is praying for you. Bye.